Welcome to Lost River Cave and Valley in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I'm Kirsten, the tour manager and education coordinator here at Lost River. Some of you may be going, Lost River? How do you lose a river? Well, that is what we're going to talk about today. Bowling Green is an area that sits on what is called a karst landscape. In these karst environments, the underground rivers, carving tunnels beneath our feet, are dynamic players in our plunging terrain and are essential to the health of our aquifers and drinking water. We are going to learn about these karst watersheds and how they affect our health. When you think about the area where you live, do you know where your rivers come from? Where they're going? Is there a lost river under your feet? We will take a short walk to follow an exposed river, look at karst windows, also called blue holes, and discover how the river was found and where it is headed. This is a pre-recorded video that will last about 10 minutes. Please sit back and relax and enjoy these amazing features. You may pause the video at any time if you need a snack or to use the restroom. I am excited to show you this wonderful and dynamic world, and I'm glad you could join me on this adventure. I'm going to go over to the bridge and head out into the valley toward our spring that caused this river to be found. As we head into the valley, we are going to talk about karst. What do I mean when I say karst? It is a term that originated in an area in Slovenia where this type of landscape was first studied. It is an area of land that contains porous, soluble rocks like limestone or dolomite. When water comes into contact with these rocks, it slowly dissolves. The defining feature of this landscape are sinkholes and caves. Here, and in other karst areas, the bedrock beneath the feet is like Swiss cheese. It is riddled with tunnels and caverns. Kentucky's most famous cave system is Mammoth Cave. Now here we are by this little spring. It's a nice place to come and relax. Many locals will come to this valley to get away from the bustle of the city and stop here for a bit. You can find birds and animals getting water from these pools. Even a turtle or two can be found. Right now, there isn't a lot of water, as we've not had a lot of rain this past month. But when we do get rain, there can be considerable cascade down these rocks. As you can see, the spring comes from between the rocks on its journey down into the valley. But this little trickle hides a secret. About 8 feet below us is a river. This river begins about 9 miles south of here under the roads and houses that make up Bowling Green. For thousands of years, it flowed hidden underground, carving out a tunnel and taking minerals downstream with it. It takes almost 1,000 years for water to carve out a space big enough for a person to fit inside. After a while, a portion of this tunnel became unstable and came crashing down, creating this valley. In a karst area, when this happens, it is known as a sinkhole. This valley is, in fact, a mile-long sinkhole. Most people have heard of sinkholes. Several years ago in the Bowling Green area, a large sinkhole opened up under the National Corvette Museum. That hole swallowed up several cars and made national headlines. What happened there is the same as what happened here. There are no cars or people here. It is scary to imagine that the ground under your feet can suddenly collapse, but sinkholes of this size rarely happen. When this valley was created about 10,000 years ago, the underground river was no longer lost. Now let's head over to look at some other unique features of this valley and its lost river. We are at a blue hole, also called the karst window, which is a sinkhole that provides a direct window into the aquifer or river below. They are generally roundish, it's a little oval, with steep walls. And they are named for the blue coloring that the water gets when sunlight reflects off from the limestone calcite in the water. If you were to look up blue hole on the internet, you would find a lot of mention about the blue holes in the ocean. The same process that created those is what created these here. If you take a closer look at the surface of the water, you'll see that it looks calm. And despite that calm exterior, remember that there is a river running beneath the surface of this. The valley at Lost River has not one, not two, but 4 blue holes. The largest one was thought to be bottomless. Let's head to that blue hole. Here we are at blue hole number 4. For a long time, it was thought to be bottomless, a man-eater. During the Civil War, soldiers were camped in the area. One legend has it that 4 soldiers dared each other to dive in and pick a rock from the bottom. The first went in, disappeared. The second one went in, disappeared. The third one went in to find the other guys. He disappeared. The fourth guy, well, he was a bit smarter than the third, and he went back to camp telling them the blue hole ate the soldiers. In reality, they probably deserted, and the story was made up to cover the desertion. But the reputation stuck. It was called a man-eater. Years later, Robert Ripley of Ripley's Believe It or Not was called out to measure the depth. He dropped a rock tied to a rope and fed the rope until it stopped. Want to guess how far he fed that rope? 437 feet was the assertion on the depth of this blue hole. It was claimed as the only river that was deeper than it was long. After the local university took over the land in the 1980s, more scientific means were used to measure the blue hole. Any guess on the new depth? Using a long metal rod poking at the bottom, it was determined this blue hole was only 15 feet. It seems that the underground river that comes into this blue hole under the dock and flows out the other side toward the cave lies under a thin layer of rocky sediment. Ripley's rock found a hole, went through it into the river below. Karst windows like these help to recharge springs and underground aquifers. When it rains, the water flows from the surface above and introduces new water into these underground systems. Lost River Cave Valley is the lowest spot for 55 square miles. This area is prone to flooding. Back in 2010, there was a devastating flood. That board up there on the tree marks the high water point during that flooding. And in February of 2021, just last year, the Bowling Green area received 5 inches of rain over the course of a day. This rainfall meant that the river level in the valley rose. It rose almost 50 feet at the cave entrance, from 5 inches to 50 feet. This influx of water brought with it every cigarette butt, candy wrapper, discarded piece of trash, even oil from linking cars from the 4-lane road over the cave entrance. The river in this valley and cave run for an additional 7 miles through a cave tunnel under Bowling Green to meet up with Jennings Creek. Then it connects to the Barren River and eventually makes its way to the Gulf of Mexico. Not all underground rivers connect to a surface river. Some lead into lakes and aquifers that provide our drinking water. As I mentioned before, almost 40% of the drinking water in the U.S. comes from these underground aquifers. Karst environments like these are ideal for storing water. In a closed system, the trees, plants, and soil at the surface act as a filter to keep the contaminants out of the water held below. But karst windows like these are a direct link to the underground water supply. Since they lack any natural filtration, any contamination that flows from the surface goes directly underground. To help combat this lack of filtration, Lost River Cave, in conjunction with the city of Bowling Green, have created a wetland buffer zone next to the visitor center to help provide more filtration and prevent contamination from reaching the karst windows and our blue holes. In addition to the wetlands and vegetation, what are some ways we can help keep pollution from spilling over the road into the cave? Picking up trash, keeping cars in good shape. Perhaps you can think of other ways to help. We have seen the power an underground river can have in carving out tunnels beneath our feet. This valley and its blue holes are examples of that dynamic process. Sometimes these tunnels collapse and allow us a unique look into an underground world. The beauty of the blue holes hide the dangers that these open windows to the underground possess. They are a direct connection to a network of waterways that provide essential water to our communities. When you drive through your community, take a look at your neighborhood and see if you can find areas where pollution will enter your groundwater. Do you have disappearing rivers, springs, or even a karst window nearby? If you are stopping by Bowling Green, please come take our cave boat tour and go inside the cave to see the continued path of this river and the tunnel that was created. You can also visit the wetlands used on the surface for water filtration near our visitor center. If you have any questions, you can take a look at our website to get further information on the karst landscape, blue holes, or just to see what is happening in the valley. It has been my pleasure to show you this unique landscape and its connection to the surrounding communities. Hope you come to visit, and thank you for joining me.